Hello, YouTube. How are you? Oh, hold on. Need the blue cable. Give me a sec. In 2, 6. The bloody blue cable. The quality should go through the roof. I think. Martin, how we doing? Orkin, Jatin Gulati. Welcome. Lana, great to have you. Far out, you are so early. Out by Jam, welcome to Moki, great to have you. Good morning. Nathan's in India at 6:50 a.m. Good morning to you. All right. So how's all this? You so... Oh no. Stylized camera. Yes, scumbag. Hold on. Oh, I hate all this technical shit, but it is what it is. All right. Should be stable now. Is there a way to make stylized art using only traditional work tools? 1,000,000%. Check out someone called JC Line Decker. Zupik Quest. Thank you very much. New camera or just a new angle? New angle. Newish angle. Call me Tetakio from Brazil. Beautiful, mate. Welcome. So today, oh Lani, you picked the wrong one for today. At least for what the plan is. We could always skew away into some color. What I was thinking is I want to just sort of nerd out in a bit of the old head drawing in different angles, but do sort of like a collage of different ones and just see where we end up. Because one of the main reasons is, one, it's going to be fun. Two, I'm smack bang in the midst of a longer YouTube video and I'm stuck. Not so much with the drawings themselves, but more so the explanations. So my hope is that maybe this could unlock something. All right. Hopefully. But if not, with no particular goal of anything, we'll just see how we get on, shall we? Oh, Stephen. How are you, my friend? Bloody looking forward to catching up soon, dude. I'll be over in the States before I know it. Oh, that's fun. We're part of the journey. Yeah. You guys might even make it in the video. No promises. This isn't a planned thing to put in the video. We'll just see how it gets on. Because I'm rusty, man. Like, I'm Rusty as shit. And I overthink a lot of stuff. So wait, what are we doing? Circles? That's it, Lana. We're doing a whole bunch of circles for the rest of the stream. Strap in for the next 2.5 hours. We're going to get real good at drawing circles. Getting set up in the new place and excited to join the content game. See you in the US, man. Dude, I can't wait. I can't bloody wait. And we're back in the content game as well. Oh, exciting times, dude. Exciting times. All right. So let's get started. Let's start whacking something on the screen. Let me just make sure that where I'm drawing is going to show up for everyone. Okay, cool. So we're just going to pick at random. All right. Now, we might do some more stylized. We might do some skewing a little bit closer to realism. Who knows? But what I want to do is kind of do a collage and understand the form in 3D space and sort of fit it in there somehow. It's a good little exercise that I reckon if you haven't tried, I've done them in the past where I'll just sit. I think last year when I was at in San Diego, I just sat for like 5 hours and just went for it. And it was lovely. Stephen Clark. Yeah, sorry about the glitches of the camera, but you're not here for my camera. You're here for the canvas. That's all that matters. You learned something about art this week. Go on, Lana. Don't give us a cliffhanger. Anyone else get Lucas Piano Doors? I always get his last name wrong. New pencil brushes. He dropped them yesterday. They're dope. I'll have to check them out. Okay. So we might do a couple of sketch rounds on any given head, and then we might clean it up. Who knows? We might even whack some values in there. We might even do some color. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. Painador. Good little mnemonic there. I like it. I like it. Get this man a true. Yeah. Get me a true. What are we talking about, struggler? Kentas, welcome. You have to practice is what you learn. Lana, if you hadn't realized that until now, imagine how good you're going to be in the coming weeks and months. I'm excited for you. Again, if you hadn't realized that, up until now, I'm excited for you. Okay, you fell off the wagon. All right, you know the drill. We go through this every couple of months, Lana. Get out your sketchbook right now, no excuses, and start putting a line down. A single line or something. Anything. Oh, you legend. Appreciate you, Stephen. Have fun putting up the shelves. Oh, I love a good shelf assembly. Just all the possibilities. Okay. So where are we looking at here. So we got a profile view, also known as the double entendre, the side profile. Same. Oh, you're too kind, Stephen. Okay. So we're kind of chiseling away at the moment. Not being too concerned with any type of likeness, mind you. Likeness is a whole other ball game. Excuse me. But sometimes it's also good to come into some of these sessions, right? Not these streams necessarily, but like your practice sessions. Where am I? No, not channels. Brushes. And having a bit of a goal in mind. So I notice, for me at least, where I put the ear is oftentimes too close to that eye socket. So I'm going to be conscious of that throughout this whole session, and I'm going to forget, and I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to put the eye way too close to the eye sockets, but at least I've come into this with a bit of a goal, you know, something to work on instead of willy-nilly just whacking shapes down. It doesn't have to be just one thing. It can be multiple things. You might want to practice pushing the shapes. You know, seeing what you can see and then adding to it. Oh, you scumbag. No, this is going to annoy me. Give me a sec. Ta-da. Christian, how are you, my friend? I see you. Okay. No, I was calling everything else a bloody scumbag. Is that because of the blue cable? No, blue cable's pumping high-speed internet so you can enjoy this stream. It's the connection, it's the HDMI connection to the camera. It's always notoriously shit. I got to get a new capture card, I think, and that might fix it. We just can't nudge anything. Because I wasn't doing anything, I wasn't nudging anything, and it was just like blah, blah, blah. So, there we go. I find it hard balancing likeness with stylization. You and me both, my friend. Always feels like I can only get one or the other. This is where, I mean, yeah, it's annoying, right? It's one of the more annoying things that that I experience, at least, with the type of stuff that I like to do. it can help sometimes to then go back into style reference and really just like steep yourself in the type of stylized work that gets you going. Do some studies, do some copies, right? And then come back a day or two later even. Doesn't have to be in the same session. We don't have to compress it so quickly. Okay, so you're not going to be maybe do color, but I'm having color trouble again. Talk to me, Lana. What's up? What is your color woes? I just can't figure it out, but maybe it's shadows and not color. That's the problem. Yeah, it's a tough one. Without seeing it, it'll be hard to diagnose the issue. What is it? What are you drawing? What medium as well? All right, this is good enough for this guy. Good starting point. What is one of your favorite brushes to use as a daily for you? What do you prefer to use? Thank you. You can get it right now at the links in the description for free. It's called the long skinny brush. I think this long skinny line. It's this one. It's sort of like my daily driver. Whack in whack in a little bit of the angle and the pen tilt, and does the job for me. All right, next one. Do we want to be hard on ourselves and try this up angle? Why not? Now, consciously, I'm not going to be too hung up on the reference here, right? Because oftentimes when I'm like, okay, this is hard, or this is a harder thing, or a harder pose, I'm going to focus way into the reference, and then I end up getting into that sort of no man's land with the stylization, right? So I'm just going to think about the larger shapes first, blocking it out and seeing where we go. We've got a tube for the neck here. The ear, beautiful little ear. Ears are fantastic for getting head direction, you know. Tomoki, you use that brush? Nice one. So maybe I should just do black and white sketches. I make a sketch, color it fine, I guess, but then it doesn't look like finished. So I add more color and then it's muddy. Yeah, finished. Finished isn't always a matter of more, you know. Again, this could come back to what kind of style are you going after? What's the flavor of the month artist wise that you're enjoying the look of, or that you're trying to emulate, you know, or that you could see that they've done something that you're like, yeah, that looks finished. I would actually get it, whack it in Photoshop or digitally or wherever, and see if you can break down. Because oftentimes, if you see it in context of like the Photoshop canvas, you're like, ah, it's really not that finished as what I would expect, you know. Sometimes it does depend though. It does depend. Okay. So nose. So this is where it gets bloody tricky, because we don't see bugger all of the actual head. So I'm just going to take it easy. Take it easy. But do you know what I mean by finish? I know what I mean by finished. I might not know what you mean by finished. Laser Rickson, I've got to the point where I understand form decently well in terms of cubes, cylinders, spheres, etc. Beautiful. But I'm having trouble with understanding smaller plane changes like in portraits. Any tips? The smaller plane changes are going to be based off of the larger plane changes. If that makes any sense. So if you're trying to build the smaller plane changes off of a rocky foundation, then it's an uphill battle. Right? So I'd focus still on what you're already doing, the larger shapes, and see if you can go from the larger shapes to the smaller shapes. Right? Don't jump too fast into, like, for example, here there would be like tiny little plane changes of the jaw. Right? If it like gets sunken in a little bit here, maybe, blah, blah, blah. No. That, at least for me, is going to confuse me more than putting in this main plane here. Then I can come in and start chiseling. All right, so you've got to anchor it off of something. At least for me. Again, anything I'm saying here is literally all just stuff that I've found. Look at other artists. See how they tackle things. And take what makes sense to you and what you've tried out. And that clicks. And buddy, forget the rest, you know. But when you do color, by the end, it always looks like, okay, that's done. Yeah, I would disagree. Sometimes when I do color, at least, sometimes I do it, and it's like, does this look done to you? To me personally, it doesn't. But it might. So it's very subjective what done means. All the time and night, do you typically leave out the nasal bone when drawing? No, I find that very, very useful. One of the more useful things for me. And when we do a 3/4 view, I'll show you what I mean. So I'd actually like to play around maybe with the composition a little bit, although this isn't going to be a final piece. Maybe it is. Maybe it's postable. Who knows? Who knows? But like, yeah, this guy's in front. She's behind. Maybe an indication of the clavicle here. Something like that. Okay, I'm going to keep it simplified like this. Like, maybe I don't need any more. Because the temptation is to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into detail, but no, I think I even like it without the lips. Yeah, there's no mouth. Are your lives re-watchables? They certainly are. How do you add depth to the color is what I mean, so it's not flat. No, that doesn't. But the girl on Procreate does. Well, yeah, it's going to be a lot to do with values then. If you're talking about depth, like the girl on the Filthy plugin Procreate with the dark hair, she looks finished. Yeah. Light and shadow and values, I think, tentatively could be the issue. Without seeing what you're working on, you know? Now, could we get some of this blending into one another? Like, we could take now this lady here. And this is like a fun... Whoop, whoop, whoop. Back up we get. We could use the dark part here to then mess around. And maybe even cut back in to find the ear here. You know, this is where I guess it's more freeform-ish. It's like a hybrid. It's like, yeah, freeform adjacent, although we are using reference. We don't have to. Now this one I can feel myself getting a little bit too tied up on the reference. So we should regroup. Think. Make sure this ear is where I want it. Yeah, so this week's been a bloody... It's been an alright week. I've been cranking the way early mornings, the 5:30 starts, to get a bunch of stuff done. So I'm spinning the plates of the... I'm going to just nuke this, give me a sec. Spinning the plates of the YouTube video that I want to get out within the next couple of weeks, or at least finished, because there's a few things that's timing wise is gonna dictate when that comes out. I'm getting all the plain Janes ready to be shipped off. Got the course that I'm working on, finalizing that, spinning up the podcast tomorrow. It was a couple of weeks we mentioned that, but tomorrow we're going to be kicking off the podcast again, which is going to be lovely. And I've really been trying to it's been fun getting into content mode, because it's things like this, right? It's with the YouTube video, I could go through and just explain everything and blah 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 blah, right? But that's not very entertaining. I've got to package things in a certain way to keep it's very different to these lives, and everything has to sort of fit into one another sequentially. But you don't want the pacing of the video. And this is the same with shorts or anything really. You don't want the pacing of the video to be like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. There's an interesting video about the South Park guys where they're talking about story, and they're saying when you have an event happen and then something else happened directly after it without a and therefore, but also, right, without anything that's like motivating the next thing, that's where you lose the audience's interest. And that's what I've been trying to it makes it a lot harder, you know, but it's why certain videos, or it's like why I watch people, and why I will happily watch certain videos for the whole amount of time, because they've mastered that. And it's not this sort of like, and then at the end of the video, this mystical tip and technique that's going to save your life. Like, no, I don't know, I hate that crap. I see right the way through it. But it's really just, and it's also, respecting the viewer's time as well, and being like cutthroat when it comes to what I'm cutting. The thing that I've cut multiple things that took me a few hours potentially to put together in the video, and it didn't fit. It was taking too long, so I just boom, slice. Because I'm always thinking like, who cares? What's the point? Blah 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 blah. Anyway, it's top of mind, and it's very been taking up a lot of mental space, getting back into the swing of stuff. Okay, that's fine-ish. Don't like the ear here, so I'm going to shape that up a little bit. I had a question. Do you learn to apply? How do you learn to apply the rules of shape language on more realistic subjects? Well, that's going to be down to the reference that you have, right? It's then a decision of where are you going to stray from what you see. I think of it almost like a sliding scale. You know, like here we've got the general shape, but the smaller shapes that I'm putting in are quite different. And it also comes down to who you're following, who you're watching, the artists that really speak to you. You know, without sounding wanky, speak to you sounds a bit wanky, but you get what I mean. The stuff where it stops your scroll. You're like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. All right, next. Awesome, that's good news. Oh, where is the podcast? It'll be in the links in my descriptions. Everywhere. Ben, since watching your lives and seeing how informative and useful they are, be too kind. I finally bought your walkthrough course this week. Would recommend it to anyone here. Ah, you bloody legend. Thanks, Jan. Your check's in the mail? No, I'm kidding. Who do you follow or watch for inspiration? A whole bunch of people. And it's annoying because sometimes I don't know their names. Or I can't remember them. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'm just like, I save a bunch of their stuff, and then eventually, after however long, you then learn their names. And it's kind of true, like, that's kind of the bad thing and the good thing about some of the algorithms now as well. Particularly even on YouTube. You don't even have to subscribe to anyone anymore. If you just, like, start watching the videos that relate to you, it'll show you again. That's for sure. Zupi Quest, I bought the walkthrough too. Ah, legend. I'm still struggling with finding shapes, but these live streams help. Glad to hear it. All good, Loco. All right, let's take a look at it. Now, this is another tricky one, right? Because it's an up tilt. Now, this is also what I'm having trouble with the video. Because there's a ton of different ways that I'll tackle any given face. I personally don't have a set structured way of tackling every single head or expression for that matter. And the tricky part comes in as well. As soon as you start adding expressions, some of the bony structures and stuff gets hidden. So that has been a struggle of mine. And you will never hear me say, this is how to do something. This is the way to do something. It's always under the expectation or the lens of this is what I've found useful. Now see that, because I see that this is a tricky angle, I'm going not too close, but I'm flying a little bit too close to the reference than what I like, you know? I almost wrote that you didn't pay me to write that. Yeah. Jadu Arts, that's also why people get rage baited easily. What do you mean, Jadu? Also, you have to forgive me as well if you comment something on something that I just talked about and I don't know the context of what you wrote, because we've mentioned this a couple of times on stream. My RAM is at max capacity right now. I'm trying to draw something that looks half decent. I also get lost in tangents often. And then sometimes we've got conversations going on in chat. So forgive me if you have to reiterate some things. Might be rude to ask this, but how much would you charge for a critique? I don't do... Well, I haven't offered that like a direct, just a critique before. It's always in context of something else. So I wouldn't really be able to tell you. Wait, you're good at ghosting people with your 354 messages. Teach me how. You just, you know what, Lana? You create so many projects and things on your to-do list that it is a absolute struggle to reply to anyone. There you go. There's a tip for you. Just overwhelm yourself, and then replying to people becomes that much harder. Well, it was about something about algorithms feeding you content. Yeah. See, we're getting very structural with this. And this is another thing that I'm trying to portray in the video is, yeah, we can talk about structure until the cows come home. But we don't necessarily want to draw, like, again, I don't want to say, I don't want to necessarily draw every angle and plane, especially when I'm trying to discover the shapes, because then it starts looking like a PS2 character very quickly, and then you've got a bunch of these lines here, right? So half of these, most of these I am thinking about, but I'm only throwing down the ones that matter the most to me. And that's kind of what I'm trying to distill in the video is, let's distill it. What's the things that matter most? What's more so the invisible lines that you don't see in these streams or in time lapses and that kind of stuff, because it can be very deceiving. You want to imply structure. Yeah, exactly. But I'm also not afraid, if I'm having trouble with a section, to knock it back and then really go through, find that structure again. You know? And then knock it back. So then I hide it. I'm like keeping the secrets of what I was actually struggling with. And this here is where that little eye trick is going to come in handy. There's also another thing that I've found myself doing. I've done this forever, and it's a somewhat of a bad habit, is wanting to draw something, a structure, a thing, whatever it is. In this case, the eye. I want to show more of it than the structure that I've put in place would otherwise logically allow. If that makes sense. Like the nose here. I want to show the eye and the eyelash and everything, but like half of it's behind the nose. So I might accidentally start drawing it more out here so then I could like sort of see more of it. And then before you know it, the eyes are kind of getting skew-if. You know, they're getting a little bit out of sorts. Where I've got to work against that default intuition and look at what I've created structure-wise and then see what would logically make sense. I might not see bugger all of that eye behind here. And it's not, it's really going against like my instincts, you know? That's just something I've got to work on. Man, I had a couple of forms that were just illuminating to me the past couple of days and I totally forgot what they were. A couple of forms. What are we talking about? Talking about like on the face, we're talking just general useful shapes of anatomy. I think in this particular portrait, her hair and neck is more recognizable. I like the hair because check this. This is like a little cheat for us. This gives us where these hairs curve underneath. That gives us a nice like an imaginary plane underneath here, where we can say, all right, this is. I can imagine that as like a flat plane, but then we can sort of curve it in and carve it back in. You notice I draw the ear. I always draw the ear. The ear is so useful to me. It's one of my favorites. You know, even though we might not even see it. It might get covered. Doesn't matter. I'm going to draw it in there anyway. Also with these kind of up angles or down angles, the more extreme angles, let's say, I'm always looking for the consistency with those curved lines, right? Now it looks like she's a little bit boss-eyed here, but maybe she's looking at something like a fly. There you go. That makes more sense. Now we're giving it context and my incorrect eye placement is now correct. There you go. All right, next. How can we fit? I want to kind of maybe fit something in here. There's a gnarly looking expression, just like very grumpy. Maybe it fits quite nicely in here. Lulu, how are we? Is your compass? They truly are. Freezing challenge. Are we free? Are we? Is it? Is something frozen, Lulu? That fly thing is a neat trick. Yeah, there you go. If your eyes are too close together, get them looking at something close up. And then all your mistakes are then forgiven. All right, so let's push this face here. Let's see what we can do, because we're getting pretty... It's still stylized to a degree. But I'd like to just even mess with the eye types. And there comes a point as well, particularly when you're trying to do more stylized stuff, where you've got to put the reference away. At least for me, sometimes I've really just got to not have that reference. Or at least not look at it as much. So he's looking at this way. His brows are going to be way down. The brow might be even more intense. Let's sink that eye back just a tad. Yeah. See, now I've made an adjustment here to the eye. And what did I say at the beginning? His ears are always way too close, and they can happen by accident because you start moving some of the features around and not thinking about how it shifts everything else. So that ear might be back here somewhere now. You might lose it completely. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is kind of like a poster. And what you can do as well with this kind of stuff, which I'm not doing here, but you can keep in mind the, what's the word? Perspective, that would be the word. The perspective of everything. Like maybe he's the closest, and then as you go back, you make the head smaller and smaller as you go, you know. He's kind of large here, so maybe, actually I quite like that. Maybe make his head a little bit smaller so then we can fit more in while still keeping... And you could also do it where you actually turn the heads at the certain angle that they're at. So here, like maybe you could start with the head more face on, and as it turns away, you could practice the head's coming out this way, and then as it goes further or further away, they sort of turn away. You can do this. You can do so many different ways, you know. JT, do you also do live in TikTok? I haven't before, no. Let's actually make him more just and then and then So he's kind of got this like a really specific muzzle sort of shape, which we can exaggerate and play with. No, he's not grumpy enough. So let's whack that brow down even further. And we do one more knockback pass, and then we move on, I reckon. Oh, thank you, Jadu. Digital, the tetraforms, kind of like Travisky's Clone Wars people. I know I'm saying. I kind of know what you're talking about. Kind of. This looks like a poster for a new Marvel movie with 20-ish characters where half of them you don't even know until you've seen all the previous ones. There you go. Jadu, how long do you think you'll be streaming? Probably for another like hour and a bit, I think. And that timer is there for if we ever need to time anything. But we're not timing anything at the moment. I haven't clicked it off of the old OBS. Feels obvious now that... No, you're good, you're good. Daruko, how's it going? I managed to replicate your brush for Critter. Perfect. this is a gross little tangent here, but let's see if we can scooch that back just so it keeps him behind there. Alright, I think we're close to going on to the next one. Yeah, look, let's move on. Cool. All right. Next. All right. What do we think? We do have an extreme up angle here. Do we give that a whirl? Do we give that a... Yeah, why not? Will we hesitate? Let's just do it. No, you're all good, digital. You're all good. I'm going to start drawing flies all over my portraits from now on, and then I can never get my eyes wrong. Boom. There you go. What do you have to practice to get such clean lines? What do you have to practice? Oh, this is actually giving us some potentially more interesting up angles. I love that one. Oh, even that. The back up angle, the hardest of them all. What do you have to practice against? What do we have to practice? What do we have to practice? You don't have to practice anything, but if you want to get clean lines, thinking a little bit. That's a good one. Thinking a little bit before you throw the line down is always helpful, because at least for me, I was in the habit of just like going and going and going and going and like feeling like this and going and this is progress and this is progress and blah 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 blah, which I can do it and like more now with more success because again I've had practice. But when I'm trying to understand the lines that I'm putting down, I want to put them down with intention. So instead of guessing and guessing and guessing while you're still sort of got the pen on paper, why not just think and see if you can imagine sort of the line going where you want it to. Right? And I might be doing it fast because I'm used to it, but it's just the confidence comes from all the times that you put the line down that you meant to and it worked. If that makes sense. Same as anything else. Good news for me. I got my ticket to that art school I applied for. It's damn competitive though. Any tips for brushing up on Blender? Do you have a favorite online crash course? Depends what you're doing in Blender. That's the thing. What sort of stuff do you want to do in Blender? And I might be able to give you a bit more of a useful thing. By the way, Ben, I know you said this wasn't likely to end up on Instagram, but I think it's coming along really nicely, even if it's just a concept people can take to practice angles for themselves. Nice one. Thank you, Jam. Do you get tired of giving art advice? tired of? Not really, because the way I want to set everything up content-wise for myself is really me learning. So it's also me reiterating things consistently. There are times, particularly when I'm putting something together, right? Like a course or whatever. In the process of making it, I feel like I need a bit of a break sometimes. One that comes to mind is the grey matter course I'm working on. I've rendered a lot of spheres, and yes, that does get tiring to a certain point, but you know what? Like even with this video, right? With this video with the head drawing, I'm drawing a lot of heads, a lot of them. And then when I go to do my personal work, I can start whipping out heads a lot easier than I would have done like a month ago. So there's pros and cons to it, you know? Shavex, thank you very much. The new artist in town, how you doing? Great to have you. I'm jealous of that dude's speech box muscles. Quiet Echo, welcome, welcome. So everything is so skewed this way. This sinks in this way. Nose down this way. Right, now this is that prime example of where we want to show more than what is probably necessary. If we are just looking at the reference here, right, our instinct might be to put the eye in and then show more of this upper lid, right? It might come back further than what we'd want because we're not used to drawing in this angle. Right here, it almost looks a little bit like what's the Egyptian drawings? Like the hieroglyphic-esque kind of thing, if you know what I'm saying. So really, we've got to just like rage against our what our default is sometimes, and only show what's necessary. Like we might even cut it off there, which is going to probably make more sense. This little triangle doesn't make any sense on a front-on head, you know. This little triangle at that angle. It could do actually, depending on the character, right? But hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. We don't even see any of the pupil really. Everything's indicated by that lash. Camilla Gomez, how you doing? Hi Ben, how can I get your brushes? They should be in the link in the description. They're all free for you. Seen Spider-Man yet? New artist? I have not. I have not. Maybe that's a reward for myself once I've got all my work done. Funny thing about that, the work is never done. Do you think how long is it going to be in the cinemas for, do you think? Ben refuses to see Spider-Man against his principles. No, I've heard good things about it though, so. And if I was playing the mad, like get the views content game, I should probably be doing some Spider-Man fan art right now. It's just not high on the priority list for me. In the US, it should be by mid-September. Damn. Because that could have been a thing. I could have gone and seen it in the States. That's all right. Oh, do you know how bloody expensive PS5s are? I'm trying to look at the getting all set up for those Grand Theft Auto streams. The Grand Theft Auto art streams. Far out. I'll need to create geometry for painting over scenes and props, not full render modeling so much, but I should probably get a handle on basics of the interface. Yeah, okay, so if you're doing that, narrow down the scope, I think. Yeah, narrow down the scope of what you're trying to do. So start Grant Abbott. There you go. Look up Grant Abbott. He's a good one. Struggler. I've heard terrible things about it, the movie. You know what? I haven't heard much about it. I haven't been looking much about it. So you might be right as well. What tablet are you using and what software do you use? Tourbox. Brian, at the moment I'm using a Cintiq 32 Pro, the old one. Hashtag not sponsored, but Wacom, if you're watching, we know you are. Reach out, you know. Wouldn't mind the new one. But no, I also use a XP Pen, old tablet. If I'm just like doing, like if I just want to draw and see straight on the monitor. And what else did you ask? And software, this is Photoshop. You might see Odyssey 70. No, that just doesn't seem like fun to me. Sitting in the movies for 3 hours. Not my kind of vibe, I don't think. Alright, this guy's coming along. I'm wondering if there's anything we can do in the negative space here. Like, can we sneak one in here, but with... I wonder. Catch you later, Jadu. Do you have a habit of sketching when traveling when you don't have your Cintiq? Yeah, I use the iPad. And or I'm going to force myself to use my physical sketchbook. They were calling Spider-Man movie pro surveillance state propaganda. Yeah, right. Fair enough. A small travel sketchbook. Yeah, I'll be using the travel sketchbook. Ben, so you are doing head studies. What is the biggest question you want to solve? Can I do some nice looking head studies? Really? But it's not so much a question as I think, yeah, angles, simple shapes is probably a big one that's coming to mind with these ones. Perspective and getting over what we're talking about here with wanting to draw more of the eye and more of the features than what might be there. And understanding why, though. Not just being like, okay, this is what the reference says. Well, I can imagine that you got the skull underneath here, and that's cutting off our opportunity to draw the eye any further back. You know what I'm saying? Next one. Oh, this isn't even. This is a nice one though, because we got the eyeglasses, and it's going to help us out a ton. All right, I might even want to flip it. Maybe. No, well, let's just flip the canvas. No, that's not. Maybe like a little one here. You notice this like real sunken in bit? That's going to be very determined on the fat of the face, right? Like here, I'm starting with the ear. There's also different starting points which used to trip me up as well, right? Because say for example we're drawing this guy. The front of the face and like all the structure and the brow, like that's not going to help us. We've got to figure out what's in focus and what's really going to be the main thing that we can anchor onto and build upon when it comes to structure, depending on the angle that we're drawing. So really it's going to be like the side of the head and that cranium and neck. The neck's a good one as well. Have you ever had the chance of working upon motion picture or series? Yes, very briefly, but yes, it was the what was the latest Stranger Things series, I believe, on Netflix? I could never draw the back of the skull correctly or the top of the forehead. It's like there are planes there. Yeah. I do sometimes have trouble with that myself. For me, it's all about anchoring onto things. Right, I'm going to write that as a note to myself because that's something that's anchoring on to things. Right, so the anchor here is really the ear angle that I can then build on top of. Because if the ear was at this angle, all of this doesn't make sense anymore. Right, so we want to make sure and there might be an instinct to like want to draw the nose, but then that throws off the perspective completely. Unless his nose is really bloody long. At that point, then it might come out a little bit. See, there's a lot of caveats. I reckon I might even bring him out a little bit further. I want to show a little bit more of the back of the head. I like that shape of the hair. Struggler, what color would go with green and gold? I don't know. Kylie draws stuff? It certainly is. It is very much live. Or this is a very elaborate illusion. What color would go with green and gold? I don't know. I don't really enjoy that combination, even though that is the Australian colors. I always think that the green and gold, especially with our sports teams, is kind of like depends on what context and what you're doing. Right, so we've got this ear, and that can then be mapped to the side of this temple, which can then give us a nice little plane back here, which then gives us something to anchor onto with the neck. Right, and the chin can then scoop back up underneath there. All right, so anchors, that's a good one. I like that. Thank you, whoever or everyone that helped me put it out in the world. I was just watching Stranger Things last night. Nice one. What would you say is the most effective way to practice your basic 3D shapes, especially deconstructing organic forms into basic 3D shapes? Laser Rickson, do something that interests you first. You might see people that are doing, I don't know, like ants and fish and whatever. Like, if you're into that stuff, awesome. And it's a good practice, right? To do stuff that you might not usually do. But to begin with, give yourself some interest. You know? Like, what catches your eye when you're searching for reference or you see something online? And then I feel like when you start to break down those kinds of things, it makes it, one, more fun, and two, I feel like that's going to stick a little bit better than if you're just doing like a random, I don't know, building or whatever that you just don't have any connection to interest-wise. Yeah, no, the Stranger Things one was the animated one that I was talking about. Anyone know some good iPad apps for making a digital sketchbook? I sketch on Procreate, Photoshop, but we could have them in a digital flipbook kind of thing. I wonder if you can export them as like layers to a PDF or something. I mean, you could get Procreate Dreams, which is then an actual flipbook. So you could go through all of them. Chris, how you doing? Great to have you. Now, I think this chin is coming out a little bit too far. Now, are we going to be cheeky? There's also this guy. See, this is the thing. I'm getting too bloody caught up in the reference. Get out of here, reference. Let's just see what we can do with our own brain. Alright, so we got the jaw, that's going to be tucked up underneath there. Little eyelash potentially is always a nice little touch for the back angles. Yeah, look, that'll do. Next one. I like this guy's expression. Head tilted down, so things are going to be swooping downwards. Also, when it comes to like the boxes and stuff, a lot of the time center lines help me out, but center lines can be tricky because what you might think of as the center, say if we've got a box here, let's whack him in some sort of perspective, it's not going to be there. Although you might think it's there because it's kind of like equal. If we do the old crisscross, it's actually going to be scooched back a little bit, which is where I think I get caught up with me putting the ear too close all the time. So this is coming back to that why. Now I was just thinking about that with this fella. So you look how far back his ear is. But I do want to stylize this. Everything's going back. There's like swoop backwards. Now today's been very structural. It could even be a challenge there where it's like, all right, you look at a reference, you close it, and then you go. And you try and make something out of that. Struggler. Look, it kind of looks like the glasses are actually his eye bugging out. Could be. You never know. Cavi, is this your customized brush? Yeah. You can check the link and you can grab it for yourself for free. It's called the Long Skinny Line. Do you have a taste gap in your paintings? I mean, by taste gap is the final result is not what you wanted to end up with. Yeah, all of them, basically, if I'm being honest. Consistently have a taste gap, which is I think is good because then it pushes you to do and want more and more and more, or different. Lana, I put my new drawing in your Discord last night. I think nice one. I have to check it out. Some older people, you can really see the shape of their skull without sounding too graphic. No. 100% you can. I was also thinking, some point, no, don't check it out. Then why did you put it in then? Lana? I'm going to check it out. Now the eyes, if we imagine drawing through, not a new concept, we've all heard of it before, drawing through is very helpful. All right, fair enough, Lana. I will not. Okay. And so his eyes are the main perspective anchor. No, the main perspective anchor here is the brow. Because that's solid, right? The squishy stuff, I think about after, most of the time. So then from the brow here, we can then imagine that. Scooping up with the eye. Get the eye notch solid-ish. Alright, so we can anchor that here, anchor that nose, anchor the bottom of that chin. Like they're all going to be aligned. You've probably seen this. There's nothing crazy new. Alright, maybe a little bit tilted this way. Alright, because you got the brow, the nose, and the chin are all pretty much going to be more solid. Even the nose bridge. Stuff we can rely on. Less flaky. Yeah, Lana, we want to see it. You guys can see it, but Ben's not allowed. Ben's my favorite artist. Oh, Lana, you're too kind. I thought Kasim was your favorite artist. I'm in competition. Drawing through is super useful. I'm glad you reiterated it because I need to use it for my eye placement. Nice one. Yeah. Drawing through is sick. I love it. I posted mine. Name is Alone there. If you guys want to see it, I'll check it out. Yeah, what I was talking about with yeah, I want to create a channel where maybe like I can't promise anything or whatever, but it's like if the art that you put in there, you're happy with me doing like reels and maybe a YouTube video on like you ask something about the piece and then see if I can help out, get you to that point. If that makes sense. All right, the eyes are a little bit too boss-eyed here, so maybe again we've got the fly. Beautiful. Oh, Aaron. Nice one. Aha, streamers, get you. Yeah, he had a Wednesday night stream that was so fun. I didn't think KSM was streaming anymore. Well, he had one. Like maybe I misread that as in like last Wednesday. Yes, punish us. He's not streaming it yet. and he would play games and watch movies and listen to like emo music. It was funny. Yeah, how does that work with like copyright stuff? Because I wouldn't mind doing more of that kind of stuff, but I feel very restricted with YouTube. I guess it's all on Twitch, right? So they're a little bit more loosey-goosey with stuff. Why did I erase the fly here? I'll put that back in. Now it makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, some of these are a lot stronger than others. That's alright, it's to be expected. Alright, and maybe we do some little ones on the edge here. I think we may have done this for a long time ago. Faster little ones. I know we did this fella a while back. Just sort of tuck him up under, and this is a fun part of it as well, is trying to like tuck it in behind stuff. practice a little bit of depth. Can you rate each one of them? Which one of you which one your best and which one's your lowest? I could. They got their strengths. They've all got their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, do we do some from imagination? Let's try that. Here comes the fun part, yeah. Imagination, right? It's the trickiest of them all. Maybe this is going to be like more of a menacing sort of dude. Now with the open mouth, I always want to understand the structure underneath for the most part. Right, I'm trying to understand that skull. This is stable. Right, all this part stable. This down here is the thing that hinges. See how that changed it so quickly? I love the Pac-Man mouth angle, yeah. Alright, we could go from like kind of just like yelling somewhat just because, but then you could push that emotion real quick by having it come down. Right, and it comes back to like the happy, sad, what we pick up on. This is coming down, so it's like real. Right, angry eyes, boom. Right, and sad, that's even at different angles. We want to think about that. It kind of looks like a pissed off Walt Disney now, but that's all right. Also with the brows and the profile view, seldom are they going to come this far down. They're typically going to stop pretty much like here. Still almost look like little hands. Like, you son of a bitch. What are you doing? No more sequels, there you go. You could also be looking at a fly as well. Alright, maybe we do like an up angle from imagination. So I think we're well and truly warmed up by now, you would think. And while I wrestle with this up angle, while I've still got you here, for those that are new, the stream happens every week. 10:45 Australian Central Standard Time. Mondays. Sundays for those of you in the PST time zone, which I believe is at around 4 p.m. 5 p.m. potentially. It starts at 6 p.m. does it? Or that you is that PST or is that EST where you're at? Catch you later, Lana. And 9 for EST. Okay, 6 p.m. PST Sunday, 9 p.m. EST on a Sunday every week. Correct. 11 a.m. here, UTC +8. +8, yeah. The GMT, UTC always confuses me. He's facing the wrong way for that side of the head, or that side of the collage. Oh, is he? Place him a little bit higher, so nah, he looks way out of place there. Where can we whack him where it looks not terrible? And I think we can sink that eye. Maybe back in the head like that. You wouldn't see as much as that bottom lip. No. Ben, can you draw someone looking down at the top? All right, I'll finish up with that. There's a perfect little spot right here. All right, so we're going to do the brow as that anchor. Nose. Coming down. Finding the sockets. Now everything's going to shrink. As we sort of everything foreshortens, everything sort of shrinks. And the angle of stuff is going to intensify. So my guesstimation is that the bottom of that chin is going to be about there. Possibly. Then we can come up, find the ears. Again, the ears are super helpful to us here because they're going to show us how down tilted the head is. The more down tilted it is, the higher up the ears are going to be. Big old ears, but you know what, they're helpful, so there we go. And when we're drawing the chest part, a lot of that is going to be up because we're looking down. That's going to be higher up than if we were just drawing it like normal. If that makes any sense. His eyes are going to be sort of sunk, at least for this character that I'm doing. His eyes are going to be sort of sunken in. Maybe he's kind of looking off to that way. Kind of getting cues from this fella down here. like hair wise. I'm going to see a lot more of the back of the head because the head's tilted down. Spoopatron, how you doing? There you go, head down angle. Not the best thing in the world, but you sort of get the idea. Cool. Well, it's a fun one. At least I had a bit of fun. Do you need to know the extensors of the forearm in detail, or can you simplify them into one form? I'd try both. Because I could say, yeah, throw them all into one. But that might not make sense to you versus separating them out. So yeah, try both. Awesome, guys. Well, look, with that, I'll thank everyone in chat for having a good little chat with me while we do a bit of study. And for those that are lurking, as always, appreciate you just as much. And also the people that are watching this after the fact, in the past. Appreciate you as well. Cool things coming as always. Lots on the horizon. And yeah, these happen every week. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Cool, guys. Catch ya.